Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Thursday morning trading session. Hang on here just 1 second. I will get you my monitor. All right, let's take a look here what's been going on with the NASDAQ in the overnight. Looks like it was a wild and crazy ride, but overall, I think we pretty much are starting from where we left off. So the market closed somewhere around here yesterday. And you can see there was a little run up in the Asian session. And then the European session opened around here somewhere. And a big run back down. And this is where we are. So as far as opening gaps go or things of that nature, it doesn't really look like we're going to have an opening gap. Not today. Not technically anyway. This is starting to look a little bit like a bear flag to me. So I'm going to give it a chance to break down to the short side. We already had one green bar sell signal here. There we go. All right, we'll put them on the shelf there for the moment. Crude oil today will be inventory for crude because of the holiday. So we're just giving a few moments here to let the dust settle a little bit. So crude inventory today at 8 o'clock here on the Pacific Coast, 11 a.m. Eastern. Opening range has always been tricky to trade. You know, for every time that you just take that opening signal, for every time it works, you'll get knocked out every other time. The Eagle is one of the few tools that I will get serious about taking an opening range signal. It just seems that its programming is a little bit more reliable in that respect. But sometimes we need a little bit more structure here before we can actually take a signal. So we had a couple nice signals here, a nice little first micro-macro cross that would have worked, a nice hard edge bounce that would have worked, as well as a hard edge bounce here in the Raptor. All right, it's almost as though that was the buyer's attempt. Let's see if we get a little bit of a test of the extreme here or some sort of signal. Oh, here's a green bar sell. Now this is early. The nice thing about this particular signal, technically it's against the band. Technically we don't have a little test of the extreme here, but remember how I showed you to start? We've got the larger downtrend. This could just be a little bit of a retracement phase and then the market coming down. Nice thing about this trade is that we can cover it above the high, above this little swing high. So if it pivots here and recovers the high and keeps going higher, well then I'm definitely on the wrong side of the trade and it would be time to get out. It's still very early though. We'll just watch this for a little bit, see if we can nurse it at least to a break-even position. Now I'm not, panicking because the market is heading higher here. I do need to see a test of the extreme. I do realize I'm getting in early. Oh, come on, sellers, where'd you go? Well, there you go. I got in a little bit too early there. So it doesn't appear as though they really are serious about heading lower, at least not at the moment. Okay, we'll see if we can hold out for something with a little bit more structure to it. Just making some notes in my trading journal about the opening range. Okay, a couple decent signals here. A nice little macro pullback in the hawk. I missed the first micro-macro cross also, as well as the macro pullback. I think I'm going to be paying a little bit more attention here to the hawk as the morning goes on. And a nice late filter entry signal here in the falcon also, which incidentally is also our trend change signal. Now, when a trend change signal occurs this far away, it always makes me a little bit nervous. The fact that it's also a late filter entry signal is encouraging because that is such a reliable signal. Let's see whether or not we would have gotten to our profit objective yet. Yep, just hit the profit objective. Crude oil a little bit sideways this morning, as we might well expect. The market just kind of confined to a trading range. This is on the Falcon. The range looks a little bit bigger here than it does on the Eagle. But essentially, these are the lows, these are the highs. So we're more or less sandwiched between the primary resistance and the secondary resistance levels. I pretty much expect crude to stay within those ranges until the inventory report. So a little bit of a trend change signal actually here on the Falcon now, and that's confirmed by the complementary signals on the Hawk and the Eagle. So we'll see whether or not crude oil tails off a little bit there. All right, now we're getting a first micro-macro cross signal here on the Hawk. It does look as though perhaps the market is getting a little bit weaker to the upside. So we've got the opportunity to take the signal here below the lows. Can I cover above the highs? Yes, I can. We might try to put a runner on today. Okay, now this whole mess has turned into a green bar sell, which we can also cover above the highs. Wow, that green bar sell is really retreating. This is a little bit riskier now because while we've had the test of the extreme, the market is obviously very strong here. Oh, and it's also quarter to the hour, of course, my least favorite time of the day to trade. Let's see if this changes my opinion about it. Nope. So far, no. took a tick slip there. Come on, there we go. All right, so, oh, I gotta enable my stop here. I was trying to get the trade to the break even there. Ended up taking a small loss on that trade, but I think I might have tapped myself out too early on this one. It's all right, we'll get a first micro macro cross signal here in a moment. And we're getting a trend change signal here in the Falcon. Everything is still very choppy. You really see how they're fighting things out here. The only nice thing about this particular trade is that we can cover above the highs. Other than that, the market really could go higher from here. The market is currently searching for a direction, so I'm working the trend change signal to the downside. We may just turn into a trend change signal here to the upside in a moment. And the Raptor is also about to give us a signal. See, the best place to sell is still below this low right here. And I think as this unwinds, we're going to get another first micro macro cross signal somewhere down here, somewhere near these lows. All right, so here's the first micro macro cross. You can see I'm delaying my entry at least below here. Ideally, an entry below these lows are better still. We've only got a single on here with a runner, so I'm going to give it a little bit of room because once we get close to this area here, either through it or near it, we're going to get a little bit of a reaction, and I'm going to try to ride that one out. In fact, the best way to ride it out is to hold it above there. Nope. Doggone it. They're really starting to tick me off today. All right, going to be like that. Well, we won't have much to do until we get outside this trading range. So you might as well grab a book or a guitar or whatever. I've given them a couple of chances now, and they haven't followed through on either signal. So until they get outside of here, we're just going to leave them alone. Yes, I know we're getting a first micro macro cross now to the upside. And this is almost, okay, it starts to get a little bit complicated. You know how I normally tell you you got to let it break out, retest, and go higher? That's the safe way to do it. Now we're going to pretend this didn't just turn into a red bar buy. If this was still a first micro macro cross signal, sometimes this whole test and retest area develops just a little bit early. And if it does, especially off of a, did that signal actually fail, or did it hit our profit target? Oh no, it hit our profit target. Only failed because I got a little cute with it and tried to run it out further. Sometimes if this signal develops a little bit early, like at the top end of this trading channel, it will be a prelude to the market actually running out. So you actually get the whole test retest thing happening a little bit earlier. So if this had started to trade higher now, then that would have been your test retest. Now, even though that happens that way, the market may end up running out here a little ways, and you may end up having to wait a little bit longer, but you'll eventually still get a retest. It may end up being an hour later or a half an hour later. It's a little bit difficult to explain. I'll show it to you if we see one develop today. Well, this might actually be an example. We're at the bottom end of the trading range. This is kind of our retest now. Now, we're still technically not outside of this zone, so don't follow me in on this one. I do think the market's going to head a little bit lower, but this is more for demonstration purposes. It is a yellow bar. That alone would be enough to make me wait until I got a 4-arrow consolidation. I only have a 3-arrow consolidation right now. Okay, so there's the 4th arrow. So this whole thing that's been going on here, this has been our test and retest, even though it hasn't actually broken down here yet, right? We got the retest early. The retest kind of happened right as the market encountered this area of support. But what is likely to happen is that if the market drifts lower, it's probably going to head lower like this, and then somewhere through here, we'll get a retest. Something that looks a little bit more textbook. In fact, the retest might even come a little bit lower. and then the market will head lower. If you get confused, if I've thoroughly confused you here, stick with the original one, where you let the market break down, get below, look for the retest, and then sell. If you stay with that, you'll never go too far wrong. Oop, how's that? Better? Sorry, was sitting on my mute button. Okay, so you guys probably didn't hear my comment. Mark was asking about rollover day, whether we should be trading the December contract or the September contract. If they're close in volume, it really doesn't matter. I thought rollover is the 18th, and I just double checked my paperwork. I believe the rollover is next week. But I could be wrong. So no, there's no harm in trading December. Tony's asking, when the markets are so range bound, why not just sell the top and buy the bottom? And you can certainly do that. There's a lot of traders who do that. I tend to be more of a make the market prove me right kind of trader. Yeah, Jim says that's what he does. He'll if there's like a resistance area up here, the market comes up, he'll short it. And if there's a support area down here, the market comes down, he'll buy it. Well, here's the obvious problem. What if the market continues lower? There's nothing wrong with trading that way. There's a lot of traders, a lot of successful traders who trade that way. The nice thing about trading this way, you would use your limit order, of course, is that you can get in with relatively tight stops, right? You can choose to enter at the line and maybe throw your stop 2 or 3 ticks below. Of course, you're looking for immediate reaction, and if you don't get it, well, you could get yourself stopped out, albeit the stop should be a lot less if you're just playing with 1 or 2 contracts. I suppose it's kind of like buying a lottery ticket. You throw in your $5, you buy a lotto ticket. If it works out, great. If it doesn't, that's fine too. The problem with every range-bound market is that it eventually breaks out. And so for the way I like to trade is I'll look for some structure. I'll try to capture some breakout momentum. But no, it's fine. We just never really know how long the market's going to stay range-bound. Like if we wanted, there's obvious support right here. Let's throw in a limit order to buy the market up here, and we'll put in a limit order to buy the market down here and sell the market up there. So we've identified this little sideways range. Okay, so now we're long. How much do we want to sweat this trade? Right? Where are we going to place our stops? Are you just going to do like a dollar amount? If it goes $100 against you, you'll close out the trade? Or are you going to go back here in the chart somewhere and say, okay, I'll give it, however many ticks? So that's the problem I have with doing that, is the market may be range bound, but it may not be range bound. Well, it'll never be range bound for very long. Maybe a session. I think the longest I've ever seen a market move sideways recently is maybe a couple of days where you couldn't get a decent swing out of it. But yeah, that's the only problem I have with that particular strategy, Tony, is when it actually breaks outside of that range, what do you do with it? And again, I'm not knocking it. I know a couple traders who do very well trading that way. But see, now that we're getting a little bit more structure, I would be more inclined to maybe look for a reaction near the trend line, maybe confirm that the sellers are in control, maybe try to sell it, even though we're starting to get a little bit short here of the bottom end of the trading range. While we're waiting for a decent setup here, let me show you what I do. I don't know if you guys do this with your Ninja when you're upgrading or rolling over your charts also, but here's an easy way to do it. So you go to your instrument panel, and let's say here, the E-mini. So what you do is you click on the E-mini, you click it over. Oh, well, they did roll it today. Anyways, you right click and then you left click and you'll get the front month. You know what I think it is? I think Ninja is gotten a little bit ahead of themselves, because traditionally it's the second Friday of the month, and this month it's going to be the third Friday. So I think it's a little glitch in the programming. Not that it's a big deal. Yeah, Ninja rolled a little early. That's all right, we can roll over. Everything else looks okay. Yes, it does. I have no more. Well, the DAX is still a 9, but that'll roll next week. And then when you're happy with everything, you click OK, and that's that. I used to move everything over, then have to find the symbol again and move everything back, and it was obviously very cumbersome to do. Yeah, Phil says, well, today's the second Friday of the month. Yes, I know, Phil. Normally, the second Friday of the month falls around the 15th, which is normally the rollover to the next contract month. But this is, I'm just so ham-fisted today. Some months when we get an early Friday in the month, which I know makes no sense. Normally the Friday will fall around the 5th or 6th, or even the 7th, or no, sorry, not the 7th, the 5th. Take my word for it. Normally the rollover is the 15th, and this month it's the 18th. But Ninja's programming is rolling on the second Friday. Oh my gosh, and this session is recorded too. Everybody's going to hear me fumble. When in doubt, go to the source. And you can go to the cmegroup.com, and they will have everything that you need to know about the instrument you're trading. All right, so here we are, CME Group. NASDAQ 100 futures, contract specs, termination of trading. Trading can occur up to 8:30 a.m. on the third Friday of the contract month. So for whatever reason, Ninja is rolling early. But it's not a big deal. Really, it's not. The December contract will not do anything that the September contract won't be doing. Boy, I really boned that one up. I apologize. Oh, well done. Jim picked up a couple of nice trades on the YM. He shorted 90 and out at 70, shorted at 80, out at 60. Nicely done, picking up 40 points. The advanced decline is a little bit skewed to the negative side. Jim says 1,200 buyers, 1,400 sellers, so that's about a negative 200. I think now that the market is done floundering about, I think we may have a little bit more of a trend in play. We got a trend change signal way back here in all this mess. We had a green bar sell and trend changes in our Falcon, Hawk, and Raptor. So it's looking like we might be a little bit more downtrending today. give them a minute here. The Raptor's still getting a little bit shallow. I'm not liking that so much. Okay, we're into a bit of a macro pullback type situation here. Covering this trade is going to be a little bit difficult because we're lacking a lot of structure up here. You know, the market breaks down a little bit, loses momentum, starts to retrace. Oh yes, Mark says Ninja also has a software update. And I did update to this one. I'm not really a beta software kind of guy. Mark says that he likes having the most current version. So we got 1, 2, 3, waiting on my fourth arrow here. Ninja's usually pretty good about their software upgrades. Honestly, I don't get programmers. I just bought a laptop computer. It's got Windows 10 on it. It's driving me bonkers. And I know now how my father felt when we got the VCR and he couldn't program the clock on it. All right, we're getting a late filter entry signal here on the Falcon. We got a chance for a second push on the entry, which is great. And they're about to run away on me here. So let me try that again. I'm very much a if it works, don't fix it kind of guy. And I have no idea what these guys are tweaking when they're always coming out with another version of software that apparently is working perfectly fine. Ninja had Ninja 8 or something come out recently, and I haven't upgraded to that one. So our late filter entry signal, which I was late getting in on, it's going to run away on me now. But I think we're back near the lows of the session. Boy, just a very choppy, uncommitted type of day today. Yeah, Tony, you're right. Tony says, just ask your grandkids. They know how they were probably born knowing Windows 10. I get it. It's intuitively, you know, the tiles and everything, it just makes sense. But for crying out loud, I just learned how to use Windows 7. I cut my teeth on a Mac, had to learn how to use Windows. Not that Windows is that different. Got a pretty good understanding of XP, migrated seamlessly into Windows 7, and now they've thrown Windows 10 at me. So I was playing with it last night, and I got a headache. I'm trying to network my computers together, and it won't let me network. It keeps giving me that annoying, you do not have permission to do this error. And it's like, okay, who has permission? It's my computer. Oh, you guys, look at this. We had a green bar sell here. I thought I would try to throw a onesie on it, and just no follow through. You know what? I'm going to stop trading here in a moment because we really haven't gone anywhere today. You look at our session. This is the first hour. Fairly decent range, but the market is totally uncommitted. I think we open, we go up, and we come down. And we're going to try to probably go up, and then we'll come down. So much easier trading if the market settles on a direction for the day. But that does not seem to be the case. Yeah. Brasilius, you got the right idea. He says, I'm done. I got $212 in profit. I'm done. Good for you, man. It is that kind of day. I should be looking at soybeans. Soybeans seem to be putting in a little bit of a trend. Here's the soybean market on the Falcon. So we've just broke the primary resistance. Took a little fudge the primary support, got down to the secondary. Note how these ranges are so much tighter than what we've seen in the NASDAQ, and that's because of all the volatility that we have in the NASDAQ of late. So there's a possibility. Oh, I hate comments like the one Mark just tossed me. Change is the only constant in life. But why do you have to keep changing my software? All right, so there's no follow through here at the moment. So we're at the bottom end of the trading range. We're very likely going to see them move to the top end. What I tend to do is if I have a reasonable signal that fails, like let's say, not the green bar sell, because the green bar sell I know is a weak signal, but let's say, is this my first micro macro cross? Yes. So here's a first micro macro cross signal. It's a decent signal, right? High probability signal. If I set up the market so that I have a decent chance of success and the trade fails, actually it might have found my profit target there. We're going to pretend for a moment that it didn't find my profit target. Okay, didn't find the profit target. So if it turns around and fails, if I get that happening on a couple of signals, I really start to wonder about the way the market is performing that day. So first micro macro cross, high probability signal, works about 80% of the time. Okay, this is one of the 20%. Here's another first micro macro cross. So let's say I take this one, I give it a reasonable amount of room. And we'll see here in a moment whether this one will fail. If this one fails also, then you've just got that type of day where the market is not cooperating, and we're going to negate that break even for a second. All right, so that one did work out. But let's pretend that this did not work out and it turned around and it also stopped us for a loss. Then you've got a day that is just flat out not behaving. I had somebody write me about this just the other day. They were trading really well, and then all of a sudden they hit a bit of a period of 2 or 3 days where they couldn't turn a profit. They buy, the market goes lower. They sell, the market goes higher. There will be days where the market just does not cooperate with your tools. Fortunately, they're few and far between, but if it's too much of a struggle, if you're picking high probability signals with reasonable stops and it's failing, maybe you just want to cut your losses and come back the next day. I'll tell you the other thing. If you find yourself in a situation where you're taking a fair amount of losing trades, guaranteed you're over trading. Now here in the room, because there's really nothing else to do, sometimes I'll throw on a trade that might not be the best looking trade just so that we have something to look at. But quite honestly, we've had maybe 1 or 2 good signals this morning, and even those would have been hard to come by. The first good signal I think was back here in the Eagle. Where was it? Well, it actually turned out to be this red bar buy. This signal here was fairly decent on the Eagle, this green bar sell. We had enough structure here that even though it looks so terribly messy, would we have hit our profit objective? No. Would have hit our break-even trigger, but not our profit. Yeah, so did we even get a decent signal? Maybe not on the Eagle. The Hawk has had a few. But even these have all been hard fought profit. So here's a first micro macro cross signal right here. Same thing, you got to run your stop fairly deep, and look at that, you just barely ride it out to get your profit objective. I guess what I'm saying is if it seems too hard to turn a profit, come back another day. Or get very, very choosy about which trades you're going to take. Somewhere through here, the market is going to take off on us. Berzelius, you make an excellent comment here. He says, I've had a week of drawdowns before I hit a new watermark, and it's tough. It's tough to keep slugging away when, you take a losing trade after losing trade. I've done the same. And it's hard. You start to question your signals. You start to question your methodology. It's important to stay with it, though. Don't start mixing things up now. Every time, before we had DTS and we would just be trading charts with our indicators on it, I had so many people come to me after a couple days of losing or maybe a couple of weeks of losing, and they would start, well, Eric, what if I did this? What if I put, whatever, stochastics on, or RSI or Bollinger Bands or whatever? And I told them, every time you put something new on your chart, you are starting from the very beginning. Everything that you've done before that is all gone. So, professional traders, you just don't scrap everything because you've had a bad day. It happens. Welcome to the big leagues. All right, so see, they're just keep waffling. Now we're getting a first micro macro cross lower. Let's see if this one works out. The nice thing about this trade is I can cover it right above the high. The not nice thing about this trade is we don't have a test of the extreme. Now we're into yellow bars, which will effectively be our test of the extreme. I did chase the other one, though, that turned into a green bar sell, and it only turned around to spank me. So I think I'll be avoiding this one. And you know, to be fair to you guys and girls, in the future, starting today, I'm going to be a little bit more serious about what signals I'm actually showing you here. I guess the best way to learn is to learn off of good signals, isn't it? Yeah, Paco says, glad you can make it, Paco. Paco says, thanks, Eric. Very clear explanation. The same thing happened to me last week. I know it happens to all of us, and it's so annoying. Yeah, and Paco says it's good to be more selective about the signals. Absolutely. So we're effectively stuck right now. I don't, given the ranges it's been making and such, I don't feel like doing much until we get above 42.66. If it can get above 42.66. Well, that was a fairly decent little rally to the top end of the trading range. Excuse me. So they get above 42.66. The reason I was watching the Raptor is this was the only one giving me a signal. Obviously, I was a little bit late putting that signal on. Alex is asking about the crude oil inventory. It's because of the holiday weekend, it is going to be out at the top of the hour. Natural gas inventory came out just a few moments ago, and crude will be releasing their inventory in about 30 minutes time. It's just glancing over here at the YM, and I don't know if it's looking any better or worse than the NQ. Had a decent hard edge bounce here. Not as many signals. The advanced decline getting a little bit more positive now. 1,400 buyers, 1,300 sellers. Still pretty neutral though, pretty even up. Well, is the NQ really going to try to put in this much of a rally today? I'm just snooping around here a little bit, folks, just looking what's going on. So very nice bounce here off of the median line. Jim's saying that the YM, I'm assuming the YM should go to the second blue support line. So the NQ is hitting the primary resistance at the moment. And now we're getting that little bit of a reaction. So it looks as though we have something resembling a trend, finally. And we'll just look out for an opportunity to get on board now. Of course, you could always buy in here and try to cover the trade as deep as you can. Somewhere through here, there's going to be a little bit of a pullback. Jim said, ticks just spiked to 1,000, so we should see, oops, wrong button. We should see a little bit of fading against the market now. All right, you guys, you can retrace anytime now. I got things to do. Well, they're just plodding along. They're not going to let the late buyers, like me, in at a decent price. Yeah, Mark says that's just a crazy run. You're absolutely right. So I was watching this 4266 region, and obviously so were a few other traders. So we had all the selling from here, 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 here. Then the market finally started to reverse, and it started to engage all these sellers' stop loss orders. Little ones first through here, but then we start to hit some real big ones as we get above those highs. Notice this bar right here with the tail on it. That's telling me that the sellers were trying to force the market back down, and then the buyers ran them over with a truck. And each of these bars with a tail is another attempt by the sellers to regain the market, and the buyers still pressing it higher. So here the sellers actually were able to force the bar lower for at least these 12 ticks. And then the buyers came right back, and now here they are trying to sort themselves out again. Oh, and here go the buyers again. I was just about to take a look at putting an order on here on the Falcon. We had a little bit of a trend line touch signal. The problem, of course, here is where in the world do you cover this trade? I guess below the primary resistance. Oops, wrong button again. Oh, come on, you guys. Nope, there they go. They're going to press it again. Well, this is not the best scenario. It's kind of like throwing a dart. See, this trend line touch here was a decent signal, but everybody is waiting for a retracement and a second chance. Nicely done, Paco. Paco says he caught part of this move here off of the Raptor. 42.84 quarter. So you got in early. Very good. Probably this signal right here off the soft edge. 2 contracts, $510 profit. Nicely done. All right, I think what I'm going to do is we're going to take a look here at the crude oil market, which isn't being all that cooperative either. Here's crude coming into the inventory. Another 10 minutes. We don't really have a decent range that we can bracket. I do need to test the OCO order though, because I think I might have a bug in mine. So as we get closer here, I will look at setting up an OCO type trade. The market obviously bullish at the moment. All right, so we've only got a few minutes here before the inventory report. What I would probably suggest for a day like today is that you let the report hit the floor, and when it comes out, it's probably going to settle down after about a minute, and then you can look at perhaps bracketing the trading range. Crude, of course, being so extremely volatile, buy above the high is fairly obvious, but where do I want to short it from? Well, we got a fair amount of support near this secondary resistance line. Maybe this would be a place to sell it if it gets below here. I also want a pretty conservative stop strategy, at least to start. All right, should be a couple of minutes yet, and then we'll see crude inventory release. The problem I've been having with the OCO order is that when one side fills, it cancels the other side. Or, sorry, it cancels both sides of the order. It's supposed to cancel the other side. All right, here we go. All right, I'm just going to put that away for a moment. I heard a couple signals here. No, nothing that I want to take advantage of just yet. Working on a trend line touch signal here with the Falcon. It amazes me sometimes how the Falcon actually, or any of the DTS tools, actually pick up the signal before the report. So right now it's looking as though crude oil is going to be a little bit more bullish. Okay, in just a moment we should see this get a little bit more excited. All right, come on, inventory. Where are you? It's the top of the hour. Does nobody care about the crude inventory? Oh, there they go. Crazy move. Okay, come on, hit the OCO order. I gotta make sure this thing works. Oh, so now why did it work that time? Okay, probably delete the break-even trigger. Okay, so for whatever reason my OCO is working today. Now that the report has released, we would know the bottom end of the trading range. So you could certainly sell below here. You could have a buy order above here. Right now we only know the sell parameters. We know where the sellers are at. So if you were looking for a trade, you could short down here. And if this turns now, give me another bar lower. And we'll close this out. We'll do this now like so. So we know we can sell below here. Now we're just looking for the limit where the buyers are at. Currently we know the buyer's limit is up here. Come on, one more bar lower. There we go. So this is now after the inventory report. Now we have a range that we can bracket. And now they've stopped moving. Come on. Boy, oh boy. Nobody is playing nice today. Well, there's a range for you anyways in crude oil if you want to follow through on that. You don't want to stay with it too long though, because we're rapidly losing any momentum the market may have had. And that's the whole point of the inventory report, is to trade the momentum, which at the moment there doesn't seem to be very much. And that pretty much sums up the day. If you are going to be trading this afternoon, yeah, tough day, Tony, you're absolutely right. Shoot, I would have said the buyers have the nod, but I don't know. We're getting a little bit of a retracement phase here, which is not unwarranted or unexpected. I don't know. I don't know if the buyers are going to recover this today. I think they will. All right, I'm gonna make a bold statement here. Look for buying opportunities. I think we're going to see the NQ try to rally a little bit more. Buyers definitely seem to have control of the market. Do try to cover the trade as deep as you can because of the obvious swings that we've been experiencing today. And hopefully tomorrow will be a little bit more reasonable. All right, you guys, we'll catch up with you then. Bye for now.